time for each of you here to ask questions. I think this is now time for you to talk back.
My name is Ethan Mussolini. Thank you so much for being a force of God and goodness to impact millions of lives every year. I like the point around talent. Now, there are those moments whereby you don't even have talent for 3 average people. So, and yet you have a company of sorts. So what's the best way to pitch to top talent without the pay to bring them on board to at least work for you?
Okay.
And for you, Mr. Mbire, thanks for your priceless wisdom. We know that your R&D budget must be very big. And as such, you're able to see what we are not able to see. So what are you seeing that an average entrepreneur in Uganda is not seeing at the moment? Thank you.
My name is Dennis Ngabirano. I am a manufacturer of snacks. I have a problem that I possibly, maybe I ask Jeff, how can I solve it? The problem is, I'm trading in an economy that is very fragile. I extend credit to the supermarket. The supermarket sells the product at an agreed period, let's say, of 30 days. But after 30 days, the product runs out in the shelves. I want to collect the payment, and I don't see it forthcoming. The shelves run empty. The customers complain. Others find their way to purchasing directly from the company. But most of the supermarkets are not paying so well. How do I meet my expenses? How do I continue to grow vis-a-vis the existing and non-stopping? Actually, it's not stopping soon because it's like it's the trend in Uganda. All supermarkets purchase on credit, yet they sell on cash basis. Secondly, I have a problem. I have a high quality snack of potato crisps. And to keep the potato crisps fresh and intact, if we are to maintain the integrity of the product, we must flush in nitrogen. Consumers are complaining of late that we are selling air. We've tried to pitch the concept of maintaining the integrity of the product, that we punch in the nitrogen so that the product does not break because it is crispy. Secondly, we are trying to pitch to them that once you punch in nitrogen, we increase the shelf life. But the nitrogen we punch in is at a cost. But consumers have failed to understand that concept. How do we juggle over that? Thank you.
My name is Rachel Mwagali, and I work with Junior Achievement Uganda. We work with young people and train them in business. My question is to Charles, Mr. Ocici. What do you think is the biggest barrier to young people, ages below 25, to be able to learn about business and how to run a successful enterprise today in the Ugandan landscape?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sandra Letio. I run Pelere Group Limited. We basically work with the Nilotica shea butter and also do value addition to the cosmetics. I have 2 questions. The first one is to Mr. Jefferson. He talks about servant leadership. How do you know the boundaries? How do you make some boundaries? Because sometimes also you have a team that is smarter than you, and there are days when you need to guide them. Because still, as a servant, you have to, there are points where they send you something and you don't just have to approve it. So how do you stay in those boundaries that you're going to still be a servant leader, but you're going to still lead them and give them the right guidance when they require of you? And then to Mr. Mbire, my question is, I have 2 questions for you. You talked about the cooperative borders that you're going to have, or the corporate borders that are coming up. When you're going to these markets, I'm soon also launching to the Tanzanian market. How do you handle the legal registration there. Have you experienced the bit of, do you have to go that side to do, how do you do this? Then on the succession, you talked about each time you look at a company, you look at the succession, how it is. Do you also look at that succession when you're looking at employees, or when the team, on the team that is managing, do you look at that also? Yeah, thank you so much.
It was asked, because the question was about hiring rock stars when you don't have the money for that. And so here's the thing, again, I will tell you this, not everybody likes this answer, but it's the one that works. Rock stars know, average people just want their salary, and they hope they can keep their job. That you, as the owner of the company or the leader, keep the company going because that's how they feed their family. That's the average people worries most about their salary. Rock stars worry about making you rich and they didn't get any of it, okay? Rock stars have a different mindset. They know that you're gonna be successful partly because of them. So the problem is, I remember, I only ever worked for one corporate, but I created a product idea, and at the end of the year, my boss told us at Christmas that he was building a new house. And I was like, where'd you get that money? And he said, oh, your product. And I said, it was my idea. He said, right, you got your paycheck. And I said, but you got a house. And he said, it's my company. And that's when I left and never worked for a corporate again. Because I said, if I'm doing that valuable of work, I should get part of the upside. So the answer to your question is, rock stars know they're going to make the company successful, so they want something more than a salary. They would like, in our part of the world, it's equity. Give them some stock, right? Some percentage ownership of the company. If you can't do that, if you can't give them stock or equity in the company, then you give them a revenue share agreement, right? As the company grows and makes more money, you're gonna get a cash bonus program that doesn't really have a limit. The more money you make me, the more money I'm happy to give you, because without you, I wouldn't have this extra money. So they want some way to get part of the success of the company that's not just their paycheck. That's how we got them. We had some rock stars that say, I'll take a smaller paycheck than I used to make as long as I'm going to get a piece of the company's success. That's what they care about.
Thank you very much. Yes, Charles?
Thank you very much. I think I'll tackle the first question, which was about what do I think, what's going to happen. I think it was from you, that gentleman. Well, from where I'm sitting, the first thing I would say, what is the situation at the moment? I'd look at the Chinese invasion of business here. I'd look at the Eritrean invasion of the business here. Why do they do business better than us? Supposedly. Discipline. They work together. We tend to work alone. Okay? So you've got to start thinking out of the box. What you can't do, I can very easily do. What I find very difficult, you can very easily do. So I think it is high time that we come together, like those cultures, start working together and attack them massively. Otherwise, you're just going to be sitting ducks. Now, the other thing is, as you plan now, where we're sitting, there is what's coming called destructive technologies. A lot of us are seated and waiting. Like I said earlier, every single day, Bitcoin is coming, optimization is coming, things are happening. And if you're sitting down, every time something new comes, something has to be got rid of. Because I said, money supply is a constant. When it's attracted somewhere else, it has to leave somewhere else. So where are you? Where are you? That's the other one. Now, the other one was the succession planning. I think it is very important to plan how your business will be after you, because the biggest problem we have is that about 80% of the businesses that are started in this part of the world, within 3 years after the owner's demise, they also die. Why? Because you never planned well. Employees, get a talent pool of people. Why do people move from your employment? Why do they leave you? There's something, find out why. Most companies don't have HR manuals. They don't follow them. They don't modify them. Incentives, share options. They say it is not how many customers you get, new customers you get. You are gauged on how many old customers you keep. Even in business, it's not how many employees, new employees you get, how many old ones you keep. Even with friends in our daily lives. If I want to know you, I'll ask you, how many friends has this person kept since their primary school? It tells me who you are. How much we disagree, we agree, yeah, we have disagreed, but that's gone. You were right, I was wrong. But let's continue, we're together for life. Now, a lady over here asked me about moving to Tanzania, and the gentleman talked about nitrogen in some crisp or something. When I was leaving my MBA, the professor told me one thing, Charles, Coca-Cola, 40% when you drink Coca-Cola is put in the stomach. 60% they put in your head. Did you understand it? So my brother, you better do branding. They say a package is, a good is as good as the packaging you make it. So I think you need to inform the consumers, give them the message, let them understand. Because most consumers buy out of trust. They have to understand your product, they have to understand what you're doing, and they have to trust the product. So there is a mismatch somewhere there, and I think it is important that you start informing them what you're doing, why you're doing it. And I found that in these big corporates, owning up. Mistake has been made, we're sorry, we mixed it wrong, this and this. This is what we're doing, owning up communication. You know, the world is now out of communication, communicating. So let's use the correct tools to communicate and brand our products so that people believe in our product. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Charles. Let's now give Mr. Ocici Charles the opportunity.
Before I answer the question about the roadblocks to the young people in business, let me first make a general comment. You came here wondering what you could be taking away. You've seen what has come out of this evening. We're going to make this a standard interaction in the new facility we're creating in Butabika. And we're going to do this with your bankers. Your bankers are in the room, and we're going to inform them that please select your customers to come for these sessions. Ideas here are for immediate use, immediate application. Look for your rock stars. Mbire has just said, you are looking for a new customer. The earlier ones, you have lost them. Have you found out why? Immediately you have homework to go after here to go and fix that thing. You are bringing people to a place where people are departing from. What miracle are you looking for? People are leaving after testing you. and you are bringing new ones. There's homework to be done. Now, let me answer the question, Madam Magara, about the young people. At Enterprise Uganda, we have a client portfolio of about 220,000. Of that population, about 150,000 are the youth. Of course, not necessarily below 25, but there are some below 25. And they have done phenomenally. Phenomenally. If you are to see the calendar of this year, there is a young man, I think in page of June, called Nwajuna. He came to Enterprise Uganda to attend a 1 week's training in the Bwisibwera in Ankole. He was in his second year doing law degree. After that training, he immediately started a business while attending classes in Makerere University, selling items for students, and then later washing clothes. Today, Nwajuna is not just financially steady. He's a multi-billionaire. He attended that training in 2012. Today, his portfolio easily could be no less than 10 billion. What do I mean here? The young people are a fertile ground. But the first people they hear from and they hold with a lot of respect are their parents who are telling them, study hard and then go and get a good job. They go with that kind of belief. They finish the journey, these jobs are not there. These fellows are disillusioned. So conversation from home, beginning to tell them that whatever you have studied, it is helping you to have an option to go along that direction. But you could also do something else completely different from what you studied and still make it in life. Nwajuna did not necessarily make these billions out of a legal practice. He went into cattle keeping. He later built a goat farm that went to Mubende from Kashari to Mubende, where the goats moved from less than 20. In about 7 years, he had more than 10,000 goats. So every month is selling so many. So getting these people to be given a broader perspective about life is very key. And getting them to know that where you start, with whatever resources, as Jeff said, funding is not the limitation. The moment you tell your mind that I lack money, the mind will continue to expand and say, this is what I wanted to do. It costs 10 million. But Familia is giving me 1 million. You ignore a business that can take off at $1 million. There's a business you can do with capital of 1 million shillings. You can also have a business you can do with 50,000 shillings. So what matters here is find a business where the buyer is happy, as Jeff is saying. As the money comes in, continue to do more of that so that these customers that keep coming, they should be happy and keep coming back. And then keep bringing more to grow your business empire. The young population today must be given a much broader conversation about their careers. The thing of limiting them to what they have studied, we should limit that conversation. But two, the family where the young person has grown from and some income from some activity. Why is the father and mommy the first to tell the child not to do that thing? And instead, bring other workers to do that thing. For you, you go and watch television because you're supposed to be reading for your papers. They can feed the chicken and then go and read the papers or watch the television. This thing of careers being so straight-jacketed, we need to remove it. Everything can be rewarded provided there is a happy customer who is willing to keep coming back and giving you those resources. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Mbire, you have...
Mr. Mbire wants to add.
Okay.
Yeah, there is something that when she talked about the youth, I think Enterprise Uganda, we also have a mission to mentor them. Their scale of preference should change. Because culturally, we are lost. If you go to Munyonyo every Sunday, you will see about 5 Eritrean weddings. You've seen them? Every Sunday. So I asked a friend of mine, why is it that you have so many weddings and the brides and groom are about 2019? One elder Eritrean man said, you know, for us, we want them to get that marriage woman thing out of the way that early, and they start working. Okay? So they're so focused. Why do the Jews, hope you're not one of them. Why do they wear only white and black? Have you asked yourself why? Because color distracts you. They don't have time for that. If you buy a red shirt, you will have to buy a blue one, you have to buy a purple one, you'll have to match them in the morning. They don't have any of that. They are serious, they know what they're doing, right? We've got to change our mindsets. I'm telling you the truth. Otherwise, people will come and you will drown. You'll go. They take us back to the civil servants service. And also government. These young entrepreneurs, you've got to help them. They're working so hard. If you don't control inflation, they're working for nothing. Why is Dubai great? Since 1980, the dirham to the dollar has been 3.65. Yes. Inflation, 2, 3. That's why the basket of goods you would get then, you can still get. That's why you value your salary. That's why you're disciplined. That's why life is the way it grows. But once they are working, they have got loans, they are being drowned by the inflation caused by stealing, money laundering, all kinds of things. Because remember, if money comes into a system and is not accompanied by goods or services, it is inflationary. So you are cheating them. That's why in America, when they catch money laundering, they lock up for 50 years. And you wonder, why are they so harsh? Because you are stealing people's pension money. People have worked for 50, 60 years. And you are inflating their money. You are taking away the value of their money. You're stealing, you're destroying them. It's destructive. I hope you understand that. These people are putting their lives at stake, mortgaging their houses, but someone comes, creates inflation, overspending, or public borrowing. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, I will not take another round of questions, but instead I'm going to ask our speakers to just give us one parting thought. And so each one of you will just have, in 30 seconds. So if the audience could take just one lesson from each of you, what would it be? So I'll start with Charles, Mr. Charles Ocici, and then Charles Mbire, and then Jeff Hoffman.
For me, I think the world is fair. If you can wake up and your head is working, there is something you can sell and begin to make a meaning out of your life. That is what has just come from here. That gentleman there came from a family of a single mom, poor, hardly able to make ends meet. Where is he? Mr. Mbire was raised by a very hardworking single mom. Where is he now? So just tell yourself, is the head working? Are the legs working? This world is yours. That's the opportunity I want us to live this evening with. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hard work. Thank you so much, Charles.
Well, there's a saying that God gives you the gift of free will. With it, he sends a burden called choice. Okay? And they also say man is architect of his own destiny. I'm telling you, it is true. One last remark is, as much as you're looking for material wealth, cash wealth, but the sweetest wealth is called spiritual wealth. spiritual wealth, because you'll go with it. The rest is going to stay here. So I like his approach to spiritual wealth, and I think when we have time, we shall definitely support you. So I'll also encourage all of us. Yes. Spiritual wealth. These things are nothing. Legacy is more important. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Charles. And lastly, but not least, Jeff.
Okay, so I am going to, by the way, I completely agree with spiritual wealth. That's what I was talking about yesterday, right? That my most valuable thing that I took from the trip that I'm on was the time spent with children yesterday. That's not financial wealth, that's spiritual wealth, but I get to keep that in here forever that day. So I agree. I think my closing thing, and you mentioned it already, is mindset. When people say, oh, it's harder here in Uganda, you know what my answer is? Okay, then just try harder, okay? When people say it's harder because I'm a woman, and I say, then just be smarter, right? You're smarter than men, why don't you just be smarter? Mindset matters. When you start making a list of the reasons it's hard, you're already closing the door to success. Focus on the things you can get done. I will